Creation is very important because until and unless you don't create something in English, what is the point of learning it? No point, because creation leads to communication either in the written form or in. Hi everyone, my name is Shalima and welcome back to my another session of learning English and improving your English speaking skills with me. And in today's lesson, I am going to address something that is very important, that is important for your everyday practices. Yes, everyday practice. That is how to practice English every day, how to practice every day in order to maximize the result, in order to maximize the kind of results you are getting for your fluency and overall improvement of your English. So yes, today's lesson is going to be extremely important because it is important to practice every day, and that is one question in the mind of each and every one, that how to practice English every day so that they are able to improve English, how to bring variety into the practice, and it can create a lot of confusion. So let's start with today's session about how to practice English every day. So are you guys ready for this? If you are ready, please let me know in the comment section if you are having this problem, right? So before beginning, please subscribe to the channel so that you can get all the lessons that I post for you on this channel, and please like the video and share it with your friends too. So now coming back to today's lesson, how to practice English every day. Now this is very important lesson, and this lesson is going to be divided into two parts. When we say practice every day, there are two major parts: what to practice and how to practice. So that is very important to know what to practice. If you don't have any kind of basic content to practice, then how are you going to practice it? So it is very important what to practice and how to practice. So we will be dividing this particular lesson into two parts. So first of all, let's begin with what to practice. So let's start with the very first part of this particular lesson, what to practice. So obviously content is required, is practice majorly. When you are practicing every day, we want something that can be easily practiced, that's easy to take up, because you have to manage it with your everyday task. Other task, your life in general, you might be a student, a working professional, any other person. Even if you are not right now a working professional, still you have your life obviously, and you have to manage learning with that. So you have to fit it into your schedule, daily schedule. So we have to do something where we are not burdening ourselves with the practice, with the learning. You are not taking it up as a task that we have to do this, we have to do that instead, right? So let's keep it light for that, and I'm going to suggest you two things, simple two things that you need to do is consuming content and then creating content. Okay, when you are taking up everyday practice, you have to take up task related. Number one, that is consuming content. Always begin with a task where you are going to consume content. Now, how to consume content? Obviously, if you have seen my video, I have uploaded multiples of videos. So it is very important that you must know that consuming content means to read English, to listen English, and that is engaging in receiving content in English. That means receiving information in a particular language, receiving the language, because your brain must receive some information, some content in that particular language in order to be conditioned to be able to speak fluently. So our main goal is speaking fluently depends on how much of quality content you are consuming. Begin with one task of consuming good quality content in English. It can be either in the form of reading, listening, or watching. There are three tasks involved. Either you can read something, you can take up anything to read depending on what you want to read. If you are reading a book, you can continue that for several days, and it's a very good option to do that. So you can take it any content to read. Otherwise you can begin with watching something in English. Now watching something means you are also engaged with the video, not just listening to the audio, but you are creatively watching the video. And guys, number three is you are slowly depending on your auditory skills. Auditory sense, that is your just listening to an audio without a video. So these are the three ways of consume a good quality content in English. So you can take up anyone begin with one of these tasks and give 10 minutes to it. That means you have to begin with 10 minutes of consuming good content in English. So in 10 minutes of consuming content in English, that's very important. Now, what to do after that? Once you are done with it, we have to move to creating the content. Creation is we are consuming it, so we can create a content. What is creation? Speaking is the majority creation task that you do in English, because what is a language? We use it to communicate verbally. Verbally, that is through our words, through the sounds that we produced, and that is what we want now, creation. Now creation is very important, because until and unless you don't create something in English, what is the point of learning it? No point, because creation leads to communication either in the written form or in the spoken form. So yes, there are two ways to create English. That is either through speaking or through writing. Now because you want to become fluent in English, I would suggest majorly your focus should be on speaking while creating content. So 10 minutes of focused creation of content in English is required. Creation of content in English means what to do your speaking English practice of your English writing practice. But as I suggested that if you are focusing just on speaking, majorly on speaking skills, then speaking must be given more priority too. But do not neglect writing together. So that's a request. That's a request for you. So the second task that you need to take up is creating content, that is your speaking practice for 10 minutes. So the next 10 minutes you are giving roughly 20 minutes and altogether. So this is what we have covered in what to practice. Now I am going to tell you how to practice the part 2 of this particular lesson, and that is how to practice every day. Now coming to the part of 2 of this particular lesson, so that is how to practice every day. Well, how to practice every day is all about management. You know, believing me, what to practice is the content, the task that you need to practice. You need to practice in order to improve your English. Now, how to practice every day? I am going to suggest some tips to you guys. So, I am going to share you 3 tips that I have in order to know how to practice it in a correct manner. So, you know the task, you know everything. You know it, but how to take up this practice in the correct manner, how to manage it properly, let's discuss. So the tip number 1 is to set particular task. Now I have told you about certain tasks in that you need to take up for practicing English every day, but you need to set particular task for every day. What kind of activity are you going to do in order to consume content? And then what kind of activity you are going to take up in order to create content. So do your practice, speaking practice, for example. For that, the example of task, what kind of task should I set or what should I do for that? So you have a very good example of this video where I have shared 9 practices. Watch this video. Here I have talked about 9 goals. Well, these goals are actually small tasks and targeted achievable tasks that I have created for you, I have set for you. So you can use these 9 practices. You can you watch this video, some other task. If you are able to come up with a new task, set them for that particular day, right? So you have just keep up 2 tasks. Now I have already given you 9 tasks, 9 practices, because in this video I have talked about different practices and how to do that practices, right? So you can watch this video. Now there are going to be 2 tasks, right? And then there are the examples task. Help from these tasks and set your task prior to practice English, prior to practicing. You can set them one day before or you can set them at the beginning of your day. As soon as wake up, set those 2 tasks, okay, so that you can easily practice whenever your schedule, the time arrives in the day, you are able to practice it easily. Now tip number 2. So tip number 2 is to stay flexible. Now what do I mean to stay flexible? See, there are going to be times when you might not get the time to practice English. So when you are not able to practice your English on the set timing, so you have set for yourself, for example, you have set the time 7 7 to 7:30, but you have said that 7 to 7:30, but you might have to attend a meeting online at that particular time, so you might require to go somewhere. Life is full of surprises, right? So your schedule can get disturbed because of some kind of immediate requirements. So some kind of things that are big like happening in your life. What to do? Should you neglect practice altogether? No, stay flexible. So if you are somehow missing the time on practicing English on that particular day, try to manage it. Try to manage that particular time, maybe reduce some minutes. Instead of 10 minutes, take one task for and do it for 5 minutes. But the thing is that you do not have to give it up. Give it up altogether. Manage to do it just before going to bed. Manage few minutes from your whole schedule, from your time, and then practice it. Because if you start giving up this practice, every time you are required to do something else, maybe a work commitment, maybe some kind of personal commitment, then you are not able to practice every day, because you have an excuse and start using that excuse every time, and you are faced with the same situation. So that's why stay flexible. And I know setting a particular time is important, but somehow if you are not able to practice on that particular set timings, practice at another time slot of your day. Alright, so whenever you get the time, just practice. Now here I would like to share you tip number 3. So tip number 3 is to track your progress. Your task, track the completion of the task. Now this is going to be help you stay consistent, because when you are tracking the task, you are ticking the check box, right? So whenever I have taken up this particular task or not for that particular day, this will help you to stay motivated, and because you have to check mark whether you have taken up the task or not, whether you have completed the task or not. So you are going to stay consistent and practice English every day. So you will be yourself motivated to practice English every day, and it's basically a form of evaluating yourself and motivating yourself to do the particular task every day. You know that you have missed a task. If you have not just taken that check mark, take that box of evaluation of that particular day, and you will be at the end of the day feel guilty somehow that you have not practiced, and this guilt will help you to stay consistent. Alright, so because you do not want to prove to yourself that you have somehow missed it or you are not able to do it, because it shows some kind of weakness. So according to human psychology, we do not want to show that kind of behavior, weak behavior, even to our own self. So that's why tracking your particular completion of task would help you to stay consistent, because you would want to win from yourself, and you are your own competitor, so you want to win, and that's why you are going to practice every day. So stay consistent through this particular activity of tracking your task completion. So that's it. What to practice and how to practice. We have covered both the things together, because it is important to know what to practice and how to practice, and it is important to know how to practice. So in today's lesson we have covered it all, and how to practice English every day, how to practice in order to improve your fluency. I am sure you are going to take up the task of practicing English every day, and it's going to be helpful for you guys. Now I am going to meet you in my next new lesson, and if you want to watch some other content, like if you are having some other problems in your life while learning English, while speaking English, while improving your fluency, you can just comment me down in the comment section, and I'll just take all that problem and I'll definitely make a video on that particular topic. So it might help you a lot. Please let me know in the comments your problems, whatever the problems are you facing while learning English. Alright, and guys, don't forget to watch my 30 days video, 30 days spoken English course. If you haven't watched this till now, you can watch my 30 days spoken English course, because this is really easy and easy to understand. If you are a beginner, if you are an intermediate level, you can watch this and you will improve your spoken English. Alright, so that's it for today's video, because here in this video I have shared two things, like how to practice and what to practice. In both the way, you can just see how you can do the practice and what you can do the practice. You'll get the idea and definitely you will do the practice and you will improve your fluency. So if you are new on my channel, please subscribe the channel, and if you feel that this video helps you a lot, then please give thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe my channel. So this is Shalima signing off. Take care and speak English with confidence.